The Federation of Unions of South Africa, Fedusa, says workers in the mining industry need to acquire new skills. This is one of the key agenda points which emerged from Fedusa's Workers' Day rally in Thohoyandou in Limpopo. Fedusa is a body representing 21 affiliate member unions. It also wants austerity measures to be done away with for the economy to create more jobs. Now, Fedusa maintains that working conditions for scores of public sector employees have regressed, leading to low work morale. The union's observation is that the workforce is also shrinking, negatively affecting economic growth. However, the Federation has once again made it clear that it stands against the privatization of entities belonging to the state. Some members who attended the rally say challenges like staff shortages and poor working conditions require government's immediate attention. The Federation has also lamented retrenchments in the mining sector. Now, to talk more about Workers' Day, we're joined by Fedusa President Godfrey Selematsela. Good evening, Godfrey. Thank you very much for joining us on the late edition. Now, today has been a day of celebration or reflection on how far workers have come in some quarters, while others, for them, it's yet another day as unemployed citizens. Your reflections of May Day.
Thank you very much, presenter, and let me also greet your listeners at home. Firstly, we want to appreciate the fact that as a federation we're able to meet in Thohoyandou Community Hall, wherein we were able to host our May Day rally talking to the workers. Let me outline the fact that during the discussions or during the rally, there were issues raised from different unions, and I categorize that as challenges that are really making our workers not to really understand what is really happening with our state in particular. Firstly, they talk about the shortage of staff, especially in education and health, and to a large extent also the police. What our members are saying is that they are working as a skeletal staff. People that go through natural attrition are not replaced to the extent that those positions become redundant and are not being funded, which makes the department a bit difficult for them to actually advertise and appoint people in those particular positions. Mm-hmm. And secondly, the issue of occupational health and safety becomes one of the critical issues. There are unsafe buildings in some of the departments, not specifically forgetting that Department of Health is one of the departments that should be seen as a leading department in terms of occupational health and safety. The other challenge that they raise is the issue of high unemployment rate, especially among the youth in the country. And it is our members' belief that this continuous unemployment that affects mostly the youth might create challenges for the country going into the future, because it cannot be as usual that we continue to have this high rate of unemployment in the country. Mm-hmm. And they classify it as a ticking time bomb and calling upon the department to try, or government rather, to try its level best in trying to reduce the unemployment in the country. Mm. And one of the things they raised was that this high rate of criminality in the country is also perpetuated by the fact that majority of people are not working, to the extent that they think that if they try the other side, which is criminality, perhaps they will survive, which we really discourage as a federation.
So, Godfrey, and pardon me for interjecting, okay, but just in the interest of time. So essentially, yes, what you're describing here is that the overall social and economic circumstances that gave rise to the unity of the proletariat back then, those issues still persist today. But unfortunately, we're now hearing many labor analysts are talking of a weakened and fragmented labor movement. So what is to be done in this respect? Because this is what you've just described, that the issues persist.
Yeah, look, we believe that partnering with government and employers, we can correct the situation. The reality of the matter is that, as I indicated earlier in the day, that the restructuring that is taking place in the mine that leads to people being, retrenched. It's one case in point. The issue that our Ministry of Finance has alluded to, the fact that there will be a layoff around 30,000 public sector employees, does contribute to this particular issue. So our belief is that whilst we sympathize with the challenges that the economy is facing, but we believe that government can do away with austerity, deploy more resources into both public and private, to the extent that they are able to get money into those sources, such that those people are able to employ people. We believe that that in itself will try and close that gap that has been referred to.
Mm-hmm. Your membership is also being threatened right now. There's great uncertainty. Times are changing. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us. Globalization is also a reality where many are working for multinationals remotely, with them not necessarily needing to be unionized. I could be working for a big company in America in my bedroom. So in that essence, there's clearly great uncertainty for you as the Labour Federation as well. What is the plan here?
Look, we are interacting with other organizations across the globe. And one thing I can raise is that we're busy trying to get into the platform workers. And I believe as we're starting to develop policies around that, we are also coming up with, discussions that surround around how can we deal with people that are working for this multinational company and other national companies in the country that people are working remotely. So we're working on strategies that will enable us to be able to attract, especially the young workers that are just getting to the market, so that we're able to recruit them and ensure that their rights are protected as workers, either in the country or internationally. You would have noted that one of the challenges that we face as a country currently is the issue that there is, unemployment, and that exacerbates the situation, as I've alluded to earlier. And it is in that respect that the policies that we're currently busy with our global colleagues would enhance us to get a policy position and, of course, a recruitment campaign that will enhance us to be able to recruit those people in those sectors that you referred to.
The sad reality with the high unemployment rate is that many would argue is that now you can see greater exploitation because there are just so many, there are just few jobs. So many people would accept almost next to nothing. And even on just that score of those who are working remotely, it's not to say that they might not get exploited. In fact, they're more isolated now, so anything can happen to them. You can be dismissed for just a mere insignificant error. So in that respect, what exactly is being done there if we're going to talk about the fact that now exploitation would be more rife because of the high numbers of unemployment where people would almost accept any kind of treatment?
Look, for us, I think as a country for now, we are a little bit covered to a certain extent in that, remember, we've got a network structure where we engage with both government and business. And some of these issues, we do table them there so that together with the employers and government, we can seek a way to manage those particular issues. And one of the things is that as we conduct May Day rallies, we also try to educate our members to the extent that they understand their rights and obligations in terms of their rights as enshrined in our Labour Relations Act. To the extent that if issues are reported, we will take it either to the bargaining councils within the sector that is concerned, and if it falls out of that scope, we will locate somewhere where we believe it will best be dealt with. But as I've indicated, I think NEDLAC to a certain extent is a platform that also assists us to engage with business and government to resolve some of the issues that are pertinent in the country. And to a certain extent, we've seen good outcomes that come out of those discussions.
And then, Godfrey, just in closing, it would honestly be remiss of me not to ask this question on behalf of some workers. The trust element. Workers now seem to not necessarily trust unions, where some of them have accused union leaders of being double agents, where to a certain extent now, when negotiating with workers, they become the mouthpiece of the employer, where they now seek to pacify the employee to accept almost anything. How are you addressing this? Because it's most certainly something that you wouldn't have heard just now, that employees also have a trust issue when it comes to unions or union leaders of late.
Well, that is true. It does happen in certain areas or sectors. However, where we sit in, we try to engage with our leaders in trying to make sure that they understand how the issue of unions come into being. And also that we have to build that trust relationship with our workers to the extent that we call them, explain to them the issues that are happening, and time and again, we encourage our leaders within our affiliates to meet with workers and explain to them the dynamics that go with negotiations. I must admit that you might have isolated cases, but by and large, majority of our unions are trying their best to ensure that they protect the rights of the workers. And as a federation, we also come in and ensure that we advocate for the rights of workers in conjunction with the said affiliates, especially where there are a lot of misunderstandings. And just to give a technical point in case, is the issue of the Transnet with our union, UNTU, where we're working together with them to try and persuade that organization to try and meet the needs of the workers.
All right,
so I agree, it is something that might be isolated, but by and large, we try to educate our leaders and our members to understand that they don't represent themselves, they represent the workers, and at all material times, they must carry the workers with them so that we build that trust relationship going forward.
All right, Godfrey.
Thank you so much.
All right, Godfrey, thank you very much for your contributions on this May Day. That's Fedusa President Godfrey Selematsela speaking to us there.